Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Friday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing all right out there this morning and staying safe. Already some pretty active weather out there this morning as this low pressure begins to move and deepen at the same time. And in response, we will have a big-time severe weather event for today. Maybe the most, I would say, the most active one of the year so far. We have a moderate risk up. This has not been upgraded to a high risk, and as of right now, I do not see that happening. But I say that, and it'll turn around and do it here in the next couple hours. Let's hope not. Let's hope not. But I'm seeing some factors that will prevent that from happening. But we'll talk a little bit on that, and we might have to pull up some tabs here on the fly. But we'll do what we have to do to keep you guys prepared and talk about all the high-end potential, the low-end potential, and we'll try to figure it out one last time for you guys. Not going to dig really deep into the ingredients. We did that last night. We kind of know that everything is there for a severe weather event today. You got your kinematics, your thermodynamics, they're overlapping, and where they overlap is where you're going to have the potential for the worst severe weather, and that is your moderate risk and enhanced risk. So we'll try to figure this out for you guys. If you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. I read all the comments this morning and everybody was so nice and kind, so I really appreciate you guys showing the love, and just really goes to show you how much of a family atmosphere we have here, and I really appreciate every single one of you guys. But if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put it in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives others an opportunity to do so too. I'll drop a video tonight. But of course, a lot of people will be tuned in to the people going live, whether it's storm chasers, people who go live on YouTube talking, breaking down the radar and stuff like that. So, but I'll do my part and come on here, but I really will talk on kind of what's ahead, into the overnight hours, into tomorrow, because I'm already eyeing maybe an increased threat for severe weather for areas of the southeast tomorrow, like Georgia, maybe up into South Carolina and the panhandle of Florida. So we'll talk a little bit about that right at the end of the video. But with that being said, let's get rolling this morning. Water vapor loop, it's pretty much happening right now. This upper trough is dug down. You got a surface low that's really about to pop off here and start to deepen, and then it will move in general northeast. And then this will, cause probably a quick hitting winter storm up here for the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes region. And then it will open up a wide open sector of ingredients that will get built in with this strengthening low-level jet, a lot of humidity in the atmosphere, and in response, big-time surface heating, and then you will also have a lot of CAPE, a lot of fuel to the atmosphere in this sector right down here. So this is all coming together. If you see the wider colors right here, that is where storms are exploding this morning in Texas, and you got a lot of rain that continues to fall from this area all the way up into the Ohio Valley this morning, where a lot of rain has fell. We look at watches, warnings, advisories, things like that. Flood watches in this green color right here will continue. You have some flood warnings. You got severe thunderstorm watches right now up in Texas, where a pretty nasty line of storms that actually had a tornado warning up when I first started putting this video together around 45 minutes ago. But you got some winter storm watches up for northern Michigan. You're not done with winter up here. Winter weather advisories in this purple right here. This does include Milwaukee. And I'm kind of surprised there's not a winter storm warning up for some of these areas. But heavy wet snow, I don't know what's limiting them not putting a winter storm warning up for these areas, because in certain areas in these winter weather advisories could get maybe 6 to 8 inches of snow. But we'll see what happens. Flooding will be a threat today, a moderate risk of flash flooding occurring in this red area. That is at least a 40% chance of flash flooding being met, flash flood guidance being met in this red area. And it's not going to take much for it to be met, because you guys have seen a lot of rain for the last few to several months in this area, with storm systems that continue to track over the same area. So it's not going to take much today. So flooding will be a big story. Haven't seen a lot of crazy videos or anything from overnight with flash flood ongoing or anything like that, but let me know what you're seeing out there. Excuse me. A little congested this morning, so I do apologize if I sound different. Moderate risk up. We know this. Not a whole lot has changed. This has actually been extended north, though, now into Memphis. So you guys have a moderate risk in Memphis now. But don't focus so much on the category risk. I mean, you obviously want to focus on a good bit, but, you could have some pretty nasty weather into the enhanced risk. But the red areas where they're thinking, the professionals are thinking the worse weather is going to be. Your highest tornado threat, and you're going to have a damaging wind threat. Hail won't be a big threat today, but with any supercell that forms, you're going to have a risk of hail. We talk about the tornado risk. Let's go back down here. You now have a 15% risk of a tornado all the way up into Memphis. This is pretty large. Now, we'll see if a 30% risk gets issued today. If it does, man, it's not going to be good. But this is a pretty huge 15% risk. So I wouldn't be surprised one bit is by the time I drop this video, I hate when it does that. By the time I drop this video, 2 hours later, they upgrade this to a 30% risk of a tornado. Let's hope not. But as of right now, confidence is certainly there that you're going to have a 15% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in any given location in this red area. The yellow area is a 10% risk of the same criteria. You also have a hatch risk in this entire 10 and 15% area. That is at least a 10% risk of a stronger tornado, an EF2 or higher. This includes Little Rock. This includes Jackson, Memphis, down to Jackson, Mississippi, Shreveport. Okay, these storms will really fire up and get going in Louisiana and then track in general northeast. Damaging wind threat is the other big threat today. It's a little bit further north, but, don't get it twisted or anything, literally. There is going to be a damaging wind threat even to the south down here where there's a high-end tornado threat. But the highest wind threat, I think, is going to be a little bit further north. Watch out, western Tennessee, almost up to Paducah. Eastern Arkansas, like the Jonesboro area, and pretty much right along the Mississippi Delta and the river here. There is not only a 30% chance to see damaging winds pushing 50 knots or higher, 55 to 60 miles per hour. There's also a 10% risk of significant winds pushing 65 knots or higher, which is 70 to 75 miles per hour. Okay, hail threat, there will be a hail threat with any storms. 15% risk of hail. But not the big storyline for today. So let's jump right into it. What I can tell you is there's already some big storms ongoing right now in North Texas. You got storms blasting through the Fort Worth area as of right now, as of, 5:33 a.m. out here in Texas time. So you're being woken up pretty early on, and this will move through Dallas too. But this will continue to kind of track through and will probably weaken somewhat this morning and then rejuvenate itself and kind of track in this kind of general direction. And then this will probably be a storyline here later this afternoon with some big-time damaging winds in this area. This will be the sector down here where you watch out for some significant tornadoes. This extends all the way up here also. Okay, this is the sector that will, you're not going to get much rain, if anything, this morning. The atmosphere will destabilize, and you will have an environment primed for tornadoes. So we look at the HRRR model right now. It's doing okay, showing what's kind of going on. We'll have to get this in motion here again. But we'll get this rolling. And like I said, these are the storms you watch. They'll move into Arkansas. But what happens down here in eastern Texas? Okay, I think as you're getting into about noon, 1 p.m., you'll start to have a strengthening segment of lines, a segment of storms right here in northeast Texas. And then right here, right as you're leaving eastern Texas, getting into Louisiana, this is when I think some supercell activity will begin to develop around 4 p.m., even in and around the Shreveport area. Let's go on and switch it a little bit further east, which will be the area that's under the gun today. So I'll try to speak on the timing as best as possible, guys. And I had a comment say, can you show a map that shows all the cities and things? Well, unfortunately, with models, there really isn't. On weathermodels.com, there is, but the screen is much smaller. It's a lot more irritating to work. And I wish that I could customize these maps to help you guys out a little bit more. But that would make doing these videos about, I would say, probably twice, maybe 3 times as long. And right now, I just don't have a lot of time to edit these videos like a lot of other people do. So I have to do a lot of this stuff, not on the fly necessarily, but I just kind of jump on the models and I show you what I'm seeing. But let's keep this rolling. And if you guys got a question on timing, I'll try to answer the comments throughout the morning at work, things like that, because I know that's important. We're getting until about 3 p.m. at this point. And if you're confused about the timing, look over here. All right, you see, I know it's pretty small on your screen, phone screen, TV screen, 4 p.m., but back it up an hour because this is in Central Time out here in the deep south, Mississippi Valley, okay? So we'll keep this rolling. Nasty line of storms around 4 p.m. knocking on the doorstep of Little Rock, central Arkansas. They blast through the area. And this is when the big-time damaging wind threat begins to really take hold up here. There will be a tornado threat up here too, guys. You can't just ignore that. I'm not saying there isn't going to be one. And for my folks up in Kentucky, just have patience with me. I'm going to show you guys too. You keep this rolling, and this looks like a pretty substantial line of storms blasting through northeast Arkansas, central Arkansas, and even sections of southern Arkansas. But what I want you to watch here is as you're getting into about 6 p.m.-ish, so 5 to 6, look at these renegade supercells that begin to develop around the Mississippi River, the Delta regions of western Mississippi. You do not want to see this. The fail mode of this today, fail mode being the storms do not materialize to a bigger tornado threat than what they're forecasting. The fail mode today is what we call a saturated column. So it's basically there's so much moisture in the atmosphere, so much forcing going on, nothing's preventing storm development to the point where these storms could maybe take on more of a congealed kind of mode, meaning the supercells can never get kind of individualized, if you will, if that's even a word, and kind of get off on their own, take advantage of the environment, and then have a chance to become not just a tornado, but a strong tornado, EF2 or higher. There's a chance that maybe everything is just consolidated together, and this is more so just a damaging wind threat. So that is the fail mode today, that these storms kind of choke each other out, if you will. And, it kind of shows that here. You see these storms, this is right in the middle of the moderate risk. You see how you got little individual supercells, but they're kind of mashed in with a lot of other convection too. But you got a couple of these up here in northern Mississippi, areas of western Tennessee ahead of this main line that are kind of by themselves. You don't want to see that today. Not one bit. And, you get to about 8 p.m. This is when the sun's setting. Nasty line of storms about to blast through Memphis around late evening, moving through western areas of Tennessee, starting to move out of Arkansas at this point across the Mississippi River. And this is going to cause some wind damage. But, by the time you get to 6 p.m., based off the latest HRRR model, okay, this becomes more of a line of storms. Okay, so how much activity, how much supercell activity do you have in this region today? Around, I would say, late afternoon, early to mid, kind of evening-ish, around dinner time. How much does that happen today? You look at the latest run of the HRRR model, and, it shows something similar, but, the HRRR model keeps going back and forth. Whether, you have widespread supercells ahead of this main line, or whether you just kind of have a discrete, kind of a semi-discrete mode. But you don't want to see this. You don't want to see any storms get out on their own and taking advantage of this high-end, high-ceiling environment in Mississippi. Okay, you really don't. I know I haven't talked much on Louisiana, but listen, there's probably going to be some tornado warnings early on in northern Louisiana, probably more so late afternoon, early evening. But please do not disregard this nasty wind threat with this line of storms up here. Okay? It's going to be a big deal. The significant tornado parameter moves in and really spikes along the Mississippi River, northern Louisiana, and really gets bad. It wants to favor more of the southerly mode down here, where the thermodynamics are probably even higher, dew points well into the upper 60s, low 70s, but a tornado threat along this line of storms too, so you can't ignore that. All right? So just be aware. You look at the updraft helicity swaths. It shows you potentially where you'll have rotating updrafts, and shows it along this line of storms up here. Shows it with these supercells, obviously, that form here. So this is the potential where an updraft can be rotating, or you could potentially get a tornado. Okay, so let's jump up here to Kentucky and more of Tennessee. How can this evolve today? Big question is, you got a lot of morning convection this morning, a lot of rain in Kentucky, flooding rain potentially. Okay, this will continue to be trailing throughout the entire state of Kentucky throughout the morning, afternoon hours, and then this rises north in response to a low pressure ejecting to the northeast. How much, I would say clearing, but you're not going to clear, but how much does the atmosphere stay destabilized in Tennessee all the way up into southern Kentucky today? If it does, it's going to add fuel to this line of storms that we were just talking about. And then as we're getting into the the late evening hours around 10, 11 p.m., these storms are blasting through Paducah. Heavy rain, maybe even a nasty line of storms into Evansville. These start to knock on the door of Cincinnati, Lexington, Kentucky, maybe sometime just after midnight. And these blast through Nashville. They move through areas of Alabama tonight. And one thing I did not mention, and I'll jump back down here in a second, is a little bit later in the night in Alabama. Sorry to leave you guys hanging. Bear with me 1 second. But you keep these lines of storms moving. They reach, central Kentucky, reach the Cumberland Plateau around 2, 3 o'clock overnight this morning, tomorrow morning, to the wee hours of the morning tomorrow morning, and then causes a lot of ruckus in the southern Appalachian Mountains around 4, 5, 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. And not to leave you guys hanging down here, and let's see if we can get this going. Let's go back to the deep south. Told you there'd be a little bit, some action on the fly here. But these storms will be a mess here in Alabama too, okay? You're going to have some nasty storms in northern Alabama, especially, probably just after midnight tonight. And then this will move through like Birmingham, probably in the wee hours of the morning sometime. And then, cause some ruckus in and around the Atlanta metro, probably around 5, 6, 7 a.m. tomorrow. And then we'll see if the atmosphere can recover and we can have some storms that begin to develop again for Saturday. We'll talk about that here in a second. But that's what to expect. And, to keep this moving here, like I said, I mentioned these storms in Alabama. But how much do they hold together as we're getting into tomorrow morning? For example, I got a soccer game around 10:15 tomorrow morning. I'm not sure if it's going to get canceled. I'm not sure if these storms are going to hold together. But I would bet on these storms holding together more than what the models are showing. So, are they going to be severe in South Carolina? I think that later on tomorrow afternoon, you can have the atmosphere that destabilizes and more storms develop down here in Georgia and maybe drift into southern South Carolina. But this initial storms that move through tomorrow morning, I think they will be below severe limits for the most part. But we'll definitely see. The Northeast, just rain, especially in the mid-Atlantic, the Delmarva area, dealing with some rain, on and off showers. Definitely a dreary day in Washington, D.C. And just a corridor of rain stretching from Kentucky to West Virginia to Virginia through Maryland, Delaware. And this will continue. And then more widespread rain moves in overnight. Ohio gets socked into the rain. Not seeing much of a severe weather threat in Ohio. I know I got several viewers from that area, but there will be gusty winds as we're getting into the overnight hours tonight. And then we're waking up to maybe a wintry mix, maybe around the Binghamton area tomorrow morning before it switches to all rain. And then we're getting into tomorrow at this point. South Central U.S., not much to speak on, guys. All the weather will clear out. We already kind of talked about this, but maybe an additional storm might fire up in central Oklahoma today. This could produce hail with a lot of cold air aloft, so we'll certainly watch that. But outside of that, some rain is possible for Missouri a little bit later this evening, kind of as the upper level low portion of this low pressure moves through. But of course, this upper level low likely will not produce any snow in Missouri like they like to do sometimes, but could produce snow in the northern half of Illinois. North central U.S., this moisture will continue to move in. This will move in overnight, start out as rain for most of Illinois. Indiana will be mainly rain, low pressure right into here, but it might switch to snow in northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, certainly. This will be all rain for most of Chicago. But Milwaukee, this will be a heavy wet snow. Starts snowing in central Michigan. Waking up to, an all-out snowstorm in northern Michigan tomorrow morning. This might switch to a brief period of snow in Chicago for Saturday morning. But this is a quick-hitting snow event. This moves in and moves out. And by the time we get into Saturday evening, we're done with it. So snow, we're going all the way into Saturday at this point. Snow from this event, anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of snow is possible in northern Illinois. It could snow about 6 inches of heavy wet snow in Milwaukee. A few inches of snow in Green Bay. But northern Michigan will probably get upgraded to a winter storm warning where as much as, somebody could squeeze in 10 inches of heavy wet snow. It's certainly possible. So, rain, a lot of it today and through the weekend. Anywhere from 2 to as much as 4 inches of rain for northern Northern Arkansas, basically these same areas, guys. These same areas right in here could get a lot of rain. The southern sections of Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, 1 to 2 inches of rain easy. And a lot of areas, more rain. A lot of rain's already fell overnight. A lot of rain's falling right now. So please be aware of any kind of flooding. The HRRR model as far as temperatures today. Very warm in the southeast. Some areas will get into the upper 80s. It will feel downright uncomfortable in areas of the Carolinas today with humidity rising. The boundaries right in here, 40s in the Ohio Valley, the Midwest, the Northeast, with some 30s and higher elevations and further north regions. Surface heating will be significant for late March standards here before this severe weather kicks off down here in the deep south. Cooler temperatures in the Midwest and the northern plains, and areas of the northern plains are below freezing. I will mention tomorrow has a marginal risk as of right now, but the Storm Prediction Center does say that there is a chance, and a likely chance, it doesn't say use the word likely, but I think there's a likely chance that we do get upgraded to a slight risk. And based off the latest HRRR model, I really wish I could chase tomorrow, but I got a lot of things going on. I have my little girl's choir play. The play's actually tomorrow, and then potentially a soccer game to coach. But if I wasn't doing that, I would be in Georgia chasing tomorrow if this was to rain. But you get into tomorrow afternoon, look at these little renegade storms firing off in central to southern Georgia, and then eventually drift into southern South Carolina. And this is prime heating of the day, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You got to watch these cells. They will be lacking some ingredients that are not lacking today. But with that look, man, you might get a tornado. So we'll give you an update on that tonight, and we'll see what the next few long-range HRRR models show for tomorrow in Georgia. That's all I got. Stay safe out there today. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Twitter especially. I'll be retweeting all kinds of content. And please stay safe out there today, guys. Please take the weather serious right now. Don't wait to take the weather serious until it gets serious. I think a lot of people treat weather like that, and it shouldn't be treated like that. I know not everybody's a weather geek like I am, but sometimes if you wait to take it serious until it is serious, it's too late. It's too late. I think you folks probably know that already. But y'all have a great day. Stay safe out there, and I'll talk to y'all soon.